All right, Chris, if I told you that the Panthers would score the most points on offense that they had since week 5, what would you think?
That they still lost?
Well, you're correct, sir. Congratulations. Congratulations. Sun came up today as well. Let's get this sucker started.
The state of North Carolina covers 53,000 square miles. It is the habitat of the feared Carolina Panthers. Get dialed in, Panthers fans, for an in-depth look at your team, exclusive interviews, locker room insight. Let's huddle up for Panthers Playbook. Here are your hosts, Dennis Cox and Chris Lea.
Welcome back to another episode of Panthers Playbook. That's Chris Lea, Dennis Cox here with you. 21-18, Carolina Panthers lose this one. And as I said off the top, Chris, the 18 points are the most points the offense has scored since week 5 against Detroit. Now, I'm not going to count the Miami game because you had the Troy Hill pick 6 that came at the end. Offense really only scored 14 in that game, but that's where we stand right now.
Well, here's the thing. The Panthers are on pace to make some history because since we've gone to the 17-game format, no team has gone 1-16. So the Panthers could become the first team to do that.
Well, look at that. Congratulations to them. Congratulations to them. They're on track for it. By the way, let us know your thoughts in the comments section below on today's or tonight's 21-18 loss. Just your thoughts on the Panthers, thoughts on the game. Because, Chris, for a moment, they had a lead. They were up. I was like, wait a second. Carolina Panthers are winning this game? They were ahead 10-7? And then in one play, 75 yards, there goes Mike Evans. Like, oh, yeah, the get-right game. There's the get-right game for Mike Evans.
Yeah. It's par for the course. I mean, Baker Mayfield and Bryce Young had very similar numbers. Baker was 14 of 29. Bryce was 15 of 31. And the difference is that Baker Mayfield has Mike Evans. And Bryce Young has Jonathan Mingo and DJ Chark and Adam Thielen. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's
practice
another
squad Mike. And practice squad Mike.
Practice squad Mike. And
don't
that's
forget
another
about practice squad Mike.
That's one of those other things where you just kind of look at it and you just kind of see like the problem isn't Bryce. Like I felt like the announcers today were kind of tough on Bryce.
No, you should be tough on Bryce.
But in a way where it's like he's got to get rid of the ball. When you're running for your life, how do you stop, set your feet, and get rid of the ball? And there's nobody open. Like
and there's no one open.
And there's Jay Feely played football. I mean, he wasn't running a quarterback, but he's got to know a little bit like, hey, the guy doesn't have time. So. I thought it was just kind of it was an interesting game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are not a good team. So it really just shows you how bad the Panthers are. And the main thing that really sums it up, and it's not just, this is partly personnel. I'm not going to say it's not personnel. 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. And you have an opportunity to keep the chains moving so you can have a drive to potentially go win the game or go tie the game up to see what could happen at the end.
This is the final offensive drive at the end of the game for the Carolina Panthers. This is with about 2:11 left. Know where you're going with this.
And you decide to throw it both times. Now, you can make an argument that, if you could find maybe Adam Thielen on something short or whatever, that's probably the Panthers' best play on offense.
Something over the middle.
But this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier on in the season, right? Before we knew the Panthers were going to be this bad, I had concerns about short yardage situations. And I've had concerns about the Panthers short yardage situations over the last few years because, as much as I loved Christian McCaffrey, he's not that guy, right? Like he's still 5'10", 210 pounds. And if you've got Vita Vea or somebody comparable right there that he has to bowl through to get that 1 yard, I'm not confident in that. And you have a bunch of Panthers running backs who have the same athletic, profile as Christian McCaffrey as far as their size. Chuba Hubbard is the bigger back of everyone, 6'1", 6'2", something like that, but still only 215, 220-ish, right? He's not the guy that's going to hit Vita Vea and be able to drive him back for a yard. And so that play is indicative of the fact that, one, the Panthers have horrible play calling. I've been trying to be nice with Thomas Brown, but there's a few head-scratching moments in today.
He's learning.
He's learning, but also, the system is still bad. Like, even though Frank Reich is out, the system is the system.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really change too much.
Yeah,
but then you also don't have
offense.
You don't have the personnel to get you 1 yard when you need it. You just don't. Because do you trust Miles Sanders in that situation? Do you trust Raheem Blackshear in that situation? I mean, Giovanni
I don't trust
Ricci
any of the running
hurt.
backs in that situation. Not just because it's the running backs are bad, but their offensive line sucks. I don't care who. Here's the thing: it could have been Sanders or
this
whomever.
This is a play
if the
calling
offensive line's
issue.
good.
This is a system issue.
Mm-hmm.
This is also a personnel issue. That's the reason why the Panthers cannot get 1 yard to try to win a game.
Yeah, that's simple as that. Simple as that. All right, so you're talking about personnel. I think you hit things spot on because a lot of heat now, right? Frank Reich is now gone. A lot of the heat and the attention is now going towards the general manager, Scott Fitterer. Hey, you put together this team. You assembled this team, right? You've been the general manager for a couple of years now. This is, again, a byproduct of what you put together out there on the field. You still can't get 20-plus points on offense. And like you said, Chris, they can't get a yard. I'm wondering now when the clock's ticking for Scott Fitterer. When is that news drop? Is it tomorrow? Is it Monday? We hear, hey, Scott Fitterer's gone. Do we hear that? It wouldn't shock me at this point.
It's nice that you bring this up right here because there has been some talk. There's some mixed, reports online. Earlier today, we heard that he's gotten assurance that he'll be back for 2024, and then Adam Schefter says there's no assurance that he'll be back for 2024, even though it doesn't seem like the Panthers are in a rush to get rid of him. So we'll see what happens. But if you look back over the time that Scott Fitterer has been here, he's had almost 3 full seasons. What has he done to make this team better?
Yeah.
His best acquisition by far is Johnny Hekker. Because when the Panthers are punting, which they do a lot, the Panthers punt a lot. When they are punting, boy, they can flip the field. The defense doesn't really use it to their advantage a lot, but they can flip the field on special teams. And so Johnny Hekker, bro, Fitterer, you put your foot in that one.
Hey,
that's what's up. You did that. You did that. But everybody else, bruh, this is a bad team, man. And if I'm David Tepper, and if I do not fire Scott Fitterer by the time this season ends, right? Like, you don't need him to go now. If you do, okay, sounds good, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But he needs to go at least after that last whistle blows at the end of the season.
Yeah.
If you don't fire him, you keep him on for the next season. It tells me one thing about David Tepper.
What's that?
It tells me that he will always be in control when he just needs to step back. He needs a puppet. And I'm not saying that Fitterer is being played. But clearly, there's a reason why you're sticking around. And I don't see a good reason. I don't see a good reason right now.
I don't either. And it's just, they haven't drafted well. They spent a lot of picks to move up to get Bryce Young. All the picks that they've wasted. We've talked about this a lot. All the picks they've wasted. The fact that they've used 11 draft picks and DJ Moore to just fill one position, that's starting quarterback. And one of the guys you traded for last year was the guy starting for the other team that just beat you. Like, that's the thing. Like, you traded a 2024 5th-round pick to Cleveland. You haven't even paid for the guy that just beat you today. You literally haven't even given up the pick yet for the guy that just beat you on the field today in Baker Mayfield. Like, that's where we are right now, Chris. That's where we are. The personnel stinks. The scheme as an offense, terrible. Now, I get the field conditions out there were crap because it was pouring down rain, but guess what? The other team had to play for it too. It's what it is. You had to deal with it. But the personnel still isn't great, like you said. And I'm just waiting for that shoe to drop. I really am. I'm waiting for that shoe to drop, Chris. It's just a matter of time. Speaking of personnel, I did notice a few things. They definitely made Chuba Hubbard. They treated him like a feature back, like the true number one back.
He's the best offensive weapon right now on this team.
Right now, because everyone knows shut down Thielen and you're good to go. I noticed Amir Smith-Marset out there on the field a lot today offensively as well. I think it's probably the most snaps he's had on offense this entire season. And as we saw practice squad Michael Strawn, I know he's officially on the active roster now, but he's still always going to be practice squad Mike. But practice squad Mike got a lot of reps and stuff out there. Even Stephon Sullivan got a lot of reps out there today because of the fact that Tommy Tremble was out. So some of these young guys, all right, let's see what you got. Let's see what you can do. And kudos on those guys for trying to take advantage of their opportunity. I guess not like
it is a tryout for next year, and
maybe not for the Panthers, but somewhere.
Yeah, it's a tryout somewhere. You're getting more on tape, and it gives you a little bit more opportunities. And I still think that the Panthers could use a little bit more pre-snap movement.
We saw that a lot early in the game. Kind of went away from it.
I feel like the Panthers have done a very good job of early scripting. But after that, it's just like there's not a lot of creativity. After that, there's not a lot, like you don't really have a lot of answers for what defenses can throw at you. And it's just so weird to find a team that a defense can like change the tide with whatever, and the Panthers can't adjust to them.
Yeah.
And so therefore the defense is never, ever in a compromised position against this team. And it's just weird to see. It's not a comfortable position to be in if you're an offense.
One thing that the Carolina Panthers sorely lack, I mean, obviously among all the stated things, but talking about with personnel, is that they don't get big plays. Like, you notice how it was one game completely flipped things back for Tampa Bay? When they lost the lead, Tampa Bay, one play, Mike Evans gone. Like, Carolina can't do that. Like, they don't have the playmakers really on either side of the ball. They
give
really
it up
don't.
to Mingo. He had that what was a 30-yarder or whatever it was he got.
Yeah, but I'm talking like boom, 75 yards, touchdown, gone. I'm talking game changer. Like game changer. Okay, yeah, they picked up a chunk play, but I'm talking they don't have any game changers really. And I don't even throw Brian Burns into this because Brian Burns is as good as he is, hasn't had many game-changing plays much this season.
You know what?
For a guy that we say is a premier edge rusher, he doesn't have that many game-changing plays. Like, he has one strip sack, and it came on the very first drive of the first game of this season. That's it.
Let's talk about him for a little bit.
Because he got ejected.
He got ejected from the game. And, typically I'd be upset with a player who kind of loses it like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think that, he could have handled himself better. He deserved to get ejected. And I'm not going to fight anything with that. Mm-hmm. However, it's to a level to where, like, now, I'm sorry, Brian, I understand. You know what I'm saying?
No,
like,
I get it.
You've gone through a lot with this team. They're not. It looks like they don't want to pay you, but also at the same time, though, like, he's not giving them a reason to up that amount of money for them to pay him. Like, he had a really strong first game, as you said, against the Falcons. I think he had 2 sacks in that game, including that strip sack. And it started off very hot, and everybody's like, "Hell, pay that man."
Yep.
Since then, I mean, he does have 6 or 7 sacks or something like that around for the season. Yeah. But again, you're right. He has not changed any games. He hasn't pinned his ears back and just said, the offense stinks. Let me go get this one back for us. And probably a lot of that's because he's the only real threat to get to the quarterback on the Panthers defensive line. So, everybody else can get one-on-ones. We can chip Brian Burns or get double teams, and so he can kind of stay there. But at the same time, he really hasn't changed many games. So it's that doesn't mean I want to get rid of him, though. I want him on this roster next year. But bro, it's it's sad when you see somebody that talented almost completely take themselves out of it because of their frustrations, not only just on the field, but off of the field with the entire organization.
And you would think with Derek Brown in the middle, it's like Derek Brown should be able to command double teams. It's like one of those guys is eventually going to get a one-on-one, right? But they're not even Derek Brown's not even winning a whole bunch of pass rush one-on-one as well. So it's just it's frustrating to see that Carolina, at least for the defense, The defense will keep it close for you. They're not going to give up a lot of yards generally. They're going to keep you in it. They're not going to give up a ton of points for the most part. At least there was like a stretch in the middle of the season where there were all the injuries and stuff kind of mounted up. But after this, like for example, Xavier Woods had the interception. Carolina goes, 3 and out? Like right afterwards, they go backwards.
Yeah.
It's just they didn't take advantage of what they gave themselves. Like you have to reward yourself sometimes for what you did. And this team just can't do it. It's unfortunate they just can't do it.
And it's like, where do we go from here?
Great question.
This wasn't even with that interception, that was just a flub with Baker Mayfield. He's going to
exactly.
do
that. Like Baker Mayfield threw an interception. Wow, never saw those coming.
It wasn't this team doing something amazing, and so, it's hard to come up with new things to talk about with this team because everything that we've ever talked about this entire season, all of it for the most part was on display in today's game, and that's the frustrating thing because it was still a winnable game.
Yeah.
It was a very winnable game. And when you look back at a lot of these games that they've lost, right? A lot of them were winnable games because they're still playing a very, I guess, a bad last place schedule. You know what I'm saying? Like the schedule isn't, full of just these world beaters. You got
that's the thing. Yeah,
you got winnable games here.
Saints was a 3-point loss. The Vikings was an 8-point loss. You look at the Bears was a 3-point loss. Last week was a 7-point loss. This was a 3-point loss. So yes,
Colts and if you don't give up 2 pick sixes to the Colts, maybe that's a little different. You know what I'm saying? Like you have the 2 interceptions to Atlanta. That to me also a winnable game. Those interceptions go straight to touchdowns.
Atlanta had 17 points off turnovers in week 1. So it's just exactly, it's that thing. But that's the difference in this league though. That's the difference in this league is that almost, we were almost right there. But here's the thing. If you count, let's say all those games we just mentioned that you flipped and let's say they ended up winning, you're still a 500 team. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You're almost to being a 500 team. You could almost your way to saying that you're 500, and 500 ain't getting squat in this league. Let's be honest, Chris. But like you said, not a whole lot more to talk about. Other than, again, everyone here, thanks for watching and subscribing.
The numbers are good.
Button. Yeah, again, serious thank you to everyone out there that contributes. I know it's been a rough season for the Carolina Panthers, and it's not been the most fun thing to talk about, but here we are.
But you know what, though? We are family. Yeah. Shout outs to Trey Boston. I don't know if you've seen this, but he's trying to create a little bit of morale amongst the Panthers fan base. So next Sunday in Charlotte, he's got a meet and greet where Panthers fans can get together with him and watch them, lose to the Saints. And so that's really cool that he's going to be doing that and bringing everybody together so that we're not just sitting alone on our couches doing it. We can be together and hug each other and be there to wipe tears and all of that, and have a former Panther comfort you. So
be each other's shoulders to cry on.
Yeah.
New episode coming out on Thursday. We might be discussing Scott Fitterer getting fired. We'll find out then. But you got to make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss any of it.
Shout outs to security guard Dre too. My man Sean Dre for listening. And he was at the Ashe wrestling event that me and you were on this past Friday, which
he did a good job of security, by the way. And
that's the best event I've seen in Charlotte all season.
Yeah. That includes the Hornets. We will see you next time. Might include the Dukes Mayo Bowl because UNC's playing in that. We'll see you guys next time here on Panthers Playbook.